Hello, thank you for joining me today. I'm Amanda Fowler of Inspiring Inkin. Welcome to my craft room. In today's video we're going to be making this card. The video is all about the technique to make the background. It's really quick and simple. I'm calling it my smooshing technique because that's what you kind of do with the inks that we're going to be using. The only thing that takes the time is to allow the cardstock to dry. So I'm going to turn the camera around and let's get crafting. So here's the card in close-up. I love this technique. It gives such a moody kind of sky and texture to the card. You've only got a tiny bit of stamping on it, so it's really quick to do apart from the drying time. So let's get all the things gathered so that we can make this card. So you're going to need 3 re-inkers. I have Pool Party, Soft Sea Foam and Balmy Blue, which obviously gives me these colours. But do experiment with lots of different colours. Avoid red and green together because you'll end up with brown. But pinks and purples and oranges and yellows, or just try all sorts of different colour combinations. You're going to have lots of fun with this. I'm going to use Stays On ink. And the stamp set that I'm using is the Best Catch, which is the Fisherman and the Sentiment. But I'm also using this stamp from High Tide, which is a sea stamp, just because it's much quicker to do some stamping. You could quite easily use a marker or a different type of stamp just to put the sea or the river in there. It's probably the river, isn't it? Because it's a fly fisherman. Okay, so you need those, and you're going to need a cellophane bag. I use the Stampin' Up! Cellophane bags, but you can use like a document wallet, that sort of thing as well. And finally, you are going to need a water spritzer. So I'm just going to split this cello bag down the edge so it sort of opens like a book. I work with 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock at a time. Now, although I'm using water, I am using Whisper White card. Normally, if you ever see me doing any kind of watercolouring, I use shimmery white card. But I've experimented with both and it does work quite well with this Whisper White card. So that's what I'm using today. So I need 2 pieces, and this is a front layer. So that is that piece there, and that will be 3.5 by 5.25 inches. So get your re-inkers, and you're going to put about 5 drops of each colour onto this, or 7 or 8. Again, experiment. I like quite a bit of colour, so I'm going to put another one there as well. So I put more on, and then what you're going to do is you're going to spritz. Now, when you're spritzing, be aware that the ink will splatter outwards. So make sure you haven't got any of your, beautiful cards or your best tablecloth or anything in the vicinity, because it does kind of spray everywhere. And you're just going to put a reasonable amount of water on there and fold that over. And you can see if I put the cardstock in now, it's going to be just puddles of colour. So what you want to do is just kind of tap them a little bit so they start melding into one another. And the water's obviously going to kind of spread them a little bit. And you can sort of drag it down and lift it up. So then I'm going to get my cardstock ready, and I'm going to lift this up and plonk it in the middle and then put it down. And that is it. That is the whole technique. So there you go. There is the background. Now obviously these are too wet for me to do anything with at the moment, but I do have some other samples that I did a little while ago, and I'm going to sort of carry on with the card with those samples. So here are the samples, and I'm just going to show you them. You'll see that they are all different. It's exactly the same colours of ink, but they all work differently depending on how the ink has kind of fallen. So I'm actually going to use this one, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to move those out of the way. So I've got my stamps all ready. I'm going to be stamping with Stays On black ink because I want a nice depth of colour. So I'm going to put plenty of ink on this, and I've actually just re-inked my Stays On, so I'm going to just check it on here first. Yeah, that's good. Sometimes I'm a bit enthusiastic when I re-ink stuff, and there's too much ink then, and then you actually miss the definition on the stamp because it kind of puddles, but this has worked really well. So there we go. So that's that piece. I love this sentiment, you're the best catch ever. It just works so well with that. And then for the inside, I have got a fly, so that's good. Okay, so that's all of the stamping. Oh no, it's not. It's nearly all of the stamping. It's the Stays On stamping. Now I've got Balmy Blue, and this is why you can't work on it when it's wet, because this ink is water-based. What will happen is if I start stamping on it when it's wet, it'll just flood everywhere. So I'm going to stamp this off a couple of times because I don't want it too defined, and then I'm going to overstamp and do that again, stamp it off. So it's just sort of a hint of water. There we go. So let's move everything to one side, get my layers in and my Tombow. This one on here, and you can see that the cardstock is a bit bubbly, a bit wrinkled. Don't worry, once it's all glued down it will all flatten out. Love the way that the sky's kind of all moody, like a stormy sky. So there we go. So there is the card finished. Now I told you that that technique was really quick. So there you go. So here's the original one. So every card that you make using this technique will be different. It will work great with like flower stamps, other silhouette stamps. Have a play with the stamps that you have and the ink colours and things, and I would love to hear how you get on. So if you are on YouTube, leave me a comment, or on my blog also leave me a comment. I respond to every single one. And you can purchase all of the items that you've seen today. You scroll down, whether on YouTube or my blog, and there are pictures or links to every item that you will have seen. Please do subscribe to my blog and my YouTube channel. That way you'll always be the first to know when I've got some more creative inspiration for you. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.